Welcome and thank you for joining us. Today, we are jumping into a powerful Bible discussion, one focused on a figure many of us think we know, but whose full story is.
Well, it's often misunderstood. We are looking at the book of Judges, chapter 6 through 8. We're tracing the story of Gideon, a man we're calling the fearful mighty man. The mission here is to really understand that dynamic between fear and faith and how ultimate victory is achieved.
And the central truth of this story, the part that should really hit home for you, is this: never assume God waits until you're brave to call you. Sometimes he calls you while you're still hiding. We have this image of Gideon the warrior, but he starts in weakness.
Okay, so let's unpack that by setting the scene because the context is absolutely vital here. Israel is going through one of its darkest periods. I mean, they are just crushed, humiliated under the Midianites.
It's bleak. The text says the Midianites swarm in every year like locusts, and they destroy every single harvest. This forces people into caves, into strongholds.
So they're not living, they're just surviving, barely. And that desperation brings us to where we first meet Gideon in Judges chapter 6.
Mhm.
He's not out sharpening a sword or anything like that.
No, not at all.
We find him hiding in a wine press. And you have to think about the absurdity of that for a second. A wine press is a basin, usually underground, for crushing grapes.
Right.
Gideon is down in this pit trying to thresh wheat. Threshing is something you do on a windy hilltop to separate the grain from the chaff.
So he's in the absolute worst spot for the job, doing it badly just so he won't be seen.
Precisely. It's the very definition of fear. And it's into this scene, to this hiding man, that the angel of the Lord appears and says,
The Lord is with you, mighty warrior.
yeah, it feels like a joke, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But this is so important. God isn't speaking to Gideon based on where he is, but on where he is taking him. That title, mighty warrior, it's prophetic. It's not descriptive of that moment at all.
And Gideon, well, he pushes back immediately. You can just feel the doubt. He says, if the Lord is with us, why has all this happened? He feels abandoned. He says his clan is the weakest and he's the least in his family.
I mean, that's just raw, relatable insecurity, isn't it?
Totally.
And God's response is so direct. It's not, don't worry, I'll make you brave. It's go in the strength you have, not the strength he wishes he had, not the strength for the final battle.
Yeah.
Just what you have right now. God is looking for someone who's willing to start moving while still scared.
Which sets up his first act of obedience. It's
Yeah.
it's small, but it's dangerous. He has to tear down his father's altar to Baal.
And this isn't just a religious act. I mean, this is basically treason in his own backyard. It's guaranteed to get a violent reaction from his own neighbors. And the really human part,
He does it at night.
he does it at night because he's still afraid. And this shows us something so crucial. Obedience isn't always loud or brave.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's shaky. Sometimes you do it under the cover of darkness. But God still honors it. He never once criticizes Gideon for being afraid.
But even after that, he needs more reassurance. Which brings us to the famous fleece story. He's testing God. He asks for confirmation, not once, but twice.
First, let the fleece be wet and the ground dry. Then the opposite.
Right, fleece dry, ground wet.
And while some people criticize this, you have to see it as this honest picture of a man who wants to believe but just needs that reassurance. He's walking a tightrope. God meets him in that weakness, in those questions. It shows that faith can grow through these small steps, through these fears.
So after all that, Gideon finally gathers an army, 32,000 men. Still not a great number against the Midianites, but then God intervenes again.
And this is where the story just gets turned on its head. God looks at the 32,000 men and says, you have too many.
Too many. Against an army they describe as being like sand on the seashore. That makes no military sense.
No, it makes zero military sense.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point. So first, the army is cut down to 10,000. He sends home anyone who's afraid.
Which ironically is the group Gideon started in.
Exactly. Then there's that strange test with how the men drink water and the army is slashed again, all the way down to just 300 men.
300. Why? Why such a drastic reduction?
Well, the Bible is very explicit about the reason. It's so that Israel could never say, my own hand saved me. God sometimes shrinks our resources to grow our reliance on him. It's to make sure he gets the glory.
But Gideon must have been terrified again. I mean, leading just 300 men.
Oh, he was. He was terrified. So God gives him this one last little push. He tells him to sneak down into the Midianite camp that night and just listen.
And what does he hear?
He overhears a soldier telling his friend about a dream he had. A dream about a loaf of barley bread rolling down a hill and destroying their main tent. And the friend immediately knows the meaning.
What does he say?
He says, that can only be Gideon. God has given Midian into his hands.
Wow. To hear your own victory being whispered in the enemy's camp, that
Honey.
That had to be the turning point.
It changed everything. He goes back to his own camp worshiping. His courage is now coming from above, not from inside himself. He knows it's a done deal.
Which leads to the battle, and I use that term loosely. The 300 men are armed not with swords, but with clay jars, torches, and trumpets.
It's not a battle strategy. It's a worship service. It's psychological warfare.
So they surround the camp, they break the jars, they lift the torches, they blast the trumpets, and they all shout, "For the Lord and for Gideon."
And just
Yeah.
chaos erupts. The Midianites wake up in a panic. They see lights from every direction. They hear the trumpets. And in the confusion, they turn on each other. Victory comes from fear and confusion, not force.
The message couldn't be clearer. Victory belongs to the Lord, not the hero.
Exactly. But, this is a huge but. The story doesn't end there. After this incredible victory, you'd expect a triumphant finish. But it doesn't happen.
This is the part that often gets glossed over, isn't it? The downfall.
It is. And it's maybe the most important lesson. Gideon allows pride to creep in. He asks for all the gold earrings from the plunder. And with that gold, he makes an ephod, which is a kind of priestly garment or object.
And he sets it up in his hometown.
He does. And instead of pointing people back to God, this thing he made becomes the center of attention. The Bible says it became a snare. Israel starts worshiping it.
So the man who started his mission by tearing down an idol ends his life by building a new one.
A new one, built from the spoils of his own victory, it's a tragic ending. It proves that a strong start means nothing if the finish is compromised. If fear can stop us from starting, pride can absolutely stop us from finishing.
So we've really unpacked the whole journey of Gideon. The man in the winepress who became a warrior, the hesitant leader who was still used, and then the hero whose pride ruined his legacy. The simple takeaway really is this: true victory belongs to the Lord, never the hero.
And maybe here's something for you to think about. When you face a task that requires shrinking your own resources, like Gideon's army, are you more focused on protecting your own glory, on keeping those 32,000 men? Or are you willing to let God increase his glory? That's something to think about until next time.
If this Bible discussion resonated with you, please hit like, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss our next discussion. And leave us a comment telling us what part of Gideon's story, his fear, the small army, or his downfall stands out most to you. Thank you for joining us.